here. I thought I would make a video on the working backwards worksheet for 1.12 volume. And so maybe I'll do a couple of these. Let's see what we got here. We have a cube that has a volume of 64 millimeters cubed. Okay, so we have a cube. So what do we know about a cube's dimensions? Well, they're all the same, right, for a cube? And so let's make a quick sketch here. And of course, it's not to scale or anything, and this is probably not going to work. Nope. So let's fill this backside. Now let's try it. Getting there. I'll get there. Okay. So a cube has just one dimension that we need to worry about, and that's side. How about we just call it x for simplicity? So x by x by x. And so the volume of a cube, a volume of a prism is length times width times height, right? But this is a cube, so our volume is just going to be x times x times x. So volume equals x cubed. That is our volume equation for a cube. The volume is 64, and we're solving for x. Okay, so we need, let's take this over here, we need to take the square root of, we need to take the cubed root of 64. That's how we get rid of a cube. So it's not a square root, it's a cube root. So what we're doing is we're trying to figure out what number times itself 3 times is 64. So we could put this in a calculator. Maybe I'll make a factor tree here. Actually, let's just go to the calculator here. Let's go to Web 2.0 calculator. And so right here we can see our cube function. So I'm going to go ahead and hit that, the cube root of 64, and hit equal, and it's 4. As we see right here, the cube root of 64 is 4. So that means 4 times 4 times 4 should be 64, and it is. Okay, so x equals 4 millimeters. So we have x equals 4 millimeters. And so let's see, I made the sketch, that was part A. I wrote an equation, that's part B. I found the length of the side, right here, that's part C. And now find the surface area of a cube. Okay, so surface area, part D. Surface area of a cube is, so one side would be x times x, right, the area of one square. And there are 6 congruent squares, so 6 times x squared, or we could say 6x squared, is the area equation for a cube. So let's put in 4. We've got 6 times 4 squared, and 4 squared is 16, and 16 times 6 is 96. So the surface area is 96 millimeters squared. And we just did part D. Alright, so A, we made a sketch. We wrote an equation here. We solved for x by taking the cube root, which was 4. And then we substituted the 4 into our surface area equation here. 4 squared 16, 6 times 16 is 96 millimeters squared. And that's it. A cube has a surface area in square inches that equals the volume in inches cubed. Okay. What is the length of a side? What is the surface area? What is the volume? Alright, so we know the two equations here for volume and surface area of a cube. So let's do, we're trying to find where the surface area equals the volume. And this is a little more abstract, but it's kind of interesting. You know, what do the dimensions need to be for the surface area number to be equal to the volume number? Even though that the units, you know, don't work out, but that's okay. So what is the surface area equation? Well, it's right over here. We just used it in the previous problem. So we know that 6x squared is surface area, and volume equation is right here. So we know volume is x cubed. So right here I just substituted, right, my equations. And then we are going to solve. So how am I going to get my x's so that they're on one side? Well, how about we divide both sides by x squared? If I divide both sides by x squared, that cancels, and I'm left with x equals 6. Okay, so the surface area would be, let's check this. So surface area equation again is 6 times x squared. So this would be 6 times 6 squared. So this is 6 times 36. 6 times 36 is 216. So my surface area here would be 216 inches squared, because I know we're in inches. And volume equals x cubed. V equals 6 cubed. Well, we could see 6 squared times 6 is the same as 6 cubed, right? So let's just try it. 6 cubed, and we get 216. So our volume equals 216 inches cubed. We found the length of the side, we found the surface area, and the volume. There we go. This length would be in inches. Very good. Oh, let's take a look at a cylinder. Cylinder has a volume of 567 pi inches cubed. Don't forget about that pi. And a height of 7 inches. Make a sketch. Okay. Let's get my circle. Okay, so the height is 7 inches here. And the volume can you read that? Just maybe do something darker. Volume is 567 pi cubic inches. Make a sketch. Done. Write an equation. Okay. So what is the equation for volume of a cylinder? Okay, so we know we have the footprint of this cylinder is a circle. So what is the equation for area of a circle? It's pi r squared. And now we push this through a height here to make it a 3D volume. So if we know the shape of the surface area and we know the equation, right here, this is a circle, right? And we multiply that by the dimension that it gets pushed through, which is h. That tells us what our volume is. So V equals pi r squared times h for a cylinder. So what do we know? We know the volume is 567 pi. So we're going to substitute that in for V. And we know that our R is a length that goes from the center of a circle to the circumference, a point on the circumference is R. And so right here, this is our unknown that we're trying to find. So we've got pi r squared. Let's do r in red. Don't know what r is. I want to find r. And then h is 7. Put it right there. Okay, so we look at this equation. We only have one variable, one unknown. And we can find r. We can isolate r and solve it. All right, so what do we see that pops out that we can cancel out? I hope you see it's the pi. We can divide pi out of everything here. And now we have 567 on the left. We have r squared on the right, and we have this 7. All right, what should we do with this 7? Let's divide it out. So we know 567 divided by 7 is 81. That's a really nice number. 81 equals r squared. Now how do I undo squaring? Take the square root. So I'm going to take the square root of r squared, and I'm going to take the square root of 81. The square root of r squared is r. The square root of 81 is 9. We can actually say it could be a positive or a negative 9. And I meant to box this in. Alright, so 9 is, and so we're not going to have a negative radius, so we'll just keep it as positive 9, and this would be in inches, right? Okay, so we have our radius. We found the part C here, and now we need to find the surface area. Okay, so the surface area, now if you forget the equation for surface area, just think about the net that we make for a circle. It looks like this division symbol, right? And we know that we have a radius and we have a length and a width for our cylinder. But the width is actually, right here, is actually the height of the cylinder, right? When we have our cylinder, this is the height, and this length right here is the same as the circumference of the circle, because this length here matches up with the length of the perimeter of the circle, also known as circumference. So this right here is the same as C, which is the same as 2 pi r. So when we say, okay, surface area of a cylinder, we have 2 pi r squareds, that's the two circles, pi r squared is the area of a circle, plus length times width for this rectangle, and we remember that length times width is, our length is 2 pi r, because that's the circumference of the circle, that's the length, times h. So we're just replacing L and W with these two expressions, and we know R and we know H in the problem. R is what we just found. So we've got 2 pi times 9 squared as our radius, plus 2 pi r, which is 9 again, times h, which is 7. We've got 2 pi times 9 squared plus 2 pi times 9 times 7. And we get 904.8. 904.8 per surface area, and these units are inches squared. Okay, so that is surface area of the cylinder. We've got the radius. I've got the equation in the sketch. All right, next problem. A rectangular prism has a volume of 270 centimeters cubed. Volume is 270 centimeters cubed. The length is twice the width. The length is 2 times the width. The height is 5 times the width. Height is 5 times width. Make a sketch. Okay. We're making a sketch of a prism. And I've gone into my words. Oh well. Okay. What do I have here? So we've got, length, width, and height are your standard dimensions for a rectangular prism. We're saying that the height here, this height is 5 times the width. So actually I needed to make this really much taller, right? For this to be, well, how about I do this? I'm going to do this. So the height is, I'm just estimating here. It doesn't have to be to scale, but height is 5 times the width, and the length is 2 times the width. And so maybe the length would be more like this in realidad. Okay, so there's our sketch. And our equation, simple. V equals length times width times height. So we've got 270 equals length. Okay, let's replace the length variable here with 2w. So we don't have anything for our width right here. So width is just w, right? We have w. We don't have an expression for w, but that means we're going to solve for w. And h is 5w. Okay, there it is. So what's 2w times 5w? 2 times 5 is 10. And w is w cubed. And we got 270 over here. What do we do now? Divide by 10. And we've got 27 equals w cubed. Now what do? We need to take the cube root of both sides. And we're thinking, what number times itself 3 times is 27? So we know that 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. We know 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. So our answer is 3. W is 3, and our units are centimeters. So if W is 3 centimeters, L is twice that. So L has to be 6 centimeters. W is 3 centimeters, and our height is 5 times W. 5 times 3 is 15 centimeters. Let's check. 6 times 3 times 15. If we multiply these three, we better get our original 270 cubic centimeters. So we've got 5, what did I just say? 6 times 3 times 15. 6 times 3 times 15 equals 270. That's what we wanted. I made an equation. No, I made a sketch. I wrote an equation. I find the length and the height. Find the surface area. All right. So, surface area of a rectangular prism. Surface area, we've got 2 length widths, we have 2 length heights, and we have 2 width heights. If you want to make a net, you can. But if you recognize that we've got 6 sides with 2 pairs, so we have a pair of length and widths, a pair of length and heights, and a pair of width and heights, the equation is a little bit more streamlined for your work. So we got 2 times 6 times 3 plus 2 times 6 times 15. We have 2 width and height, so we've got 3 and 15. Okay, why don't we just do this? So 2 times 6 is 12, times 3, that's 36. Let's see, 2 times 15 is 30, times 6 is 180. And then we've got 3 times 15 is 45, times 2 is 90. Let's see, 36 plus 270, and then this is 306. Is that right? No. So let's do a quick check here. What am I doing here? Go up. Alright. So we got 2 times 6 times 3 plus 2 times 6 times 15 plus 2 times 3 times 15. 2 times 3 times 15 equals 306. Okay, that worked. So that's our surface area. And what are the units for surface area? Centimeters squared. All right. Well, that's all the time I have for now. Got to go to assembly here shortly. But the challenge one is a challenge for a reason. See if you can figure it out. And I hope this helped you guys. All right. See you soon.